Where's the money in the deal for the sponsor? This is a pretty important question. I would imagine probably at the crux of pretty much everything that we all think about. Beside us making sure that we make money on our real estate deals and that we share profits with the investors, and there's a proper formula and a hurdle and all the different waterfall structures and everything that we build in is all for the investors. But what's in it for us, the sponsor? Well, understand that we make our money in two very different ways. One is we get paid for being smart. Smart means that we make money on the back end of the deal. When we buy the property, we fix it, we do something to it, we sell it, we transition it, whatever it is that we do, money gets made. We participate in the back end. That's awesome. That's really where a lot of the wealth creation comes from for the investors and for us. That's a great part of our business. But there's another aspect that frequently goes unnoticed and really is under considered. So let's pay attention to that. In addition to the back end where you're getting paid for being smart, if all your money is on the back end and you're only being paid for being smart, you're going to probably have to go into some amount of debt, or you're going to have to make some arrangements to be able to get yourself into the long run, because it's going to take a certain amount of time for that deal to ferment and get ready and kind of ripen and be ready to go. And having many deals going at the same time is very difficult if there's no incoming money. Now, there may be participation in cash flow, needless to say, but that also may take a long time, and you might not get it for a while. It may first money may have to go to the investors, so there isn't money for you on the back end. So you also have to get paid for your time. Being paid for your time is very important, and the investors don't mind this that much. This isn't the same as taking a salary. What we're going to do here is we're going to set the promoter up as a vendor to the fund. And as long as that promoter is either skilled or licensed to do the jobs that need to be done, then it's okay for the fund or the syndication to hire that promoter to do those jobs. And the investors generally don't care that much because you're not taking a salary, and they understand that there has to be some ongoing money so you can keep your lights on and do the things that you need to do personally to keep yourself going. So here's typically what happens. If the fund is going to hire a real estate broker, which it pretty much has to because it's an LLC and it requires some representation, it can't represent itself because it's not a person. So there's probably going to be a real estate broker involved. Then that real estate broker might as well be you if you're licensed to do it. On the back end of the transaction, it's going to need another real estate broker, might as well be you. It might need a mortgage broker to broker the loans or whatever debt you're going to put on the property. If you're properly licensed and that's your skill set, might as well be you. If you can handle the property management, if you're set up for that, if you're licensed for that, if you've got supervisors and people on your team, you might set up a maintenance department. Those are all things that are reasonable, provided that you disclose these fees in advance to your investors in your documents. One of the things that's most important is to go through an inventory of all the different kinds of fees that you're going to charge to your deal. Now, there are lots of different kinds of fees. There's construction management, there's GC fees, there's participation in cash flow, there's all the different things that are going to happen. Some you're being paid for your time, which is you being a vendor to the project, and some you're being paid for being smart, which is your participation for your contribution. That's called your carried interest. That's what the government calls it. That's kind of what the taxation issues are all about, is the carried interest. So you have these two different components. Both of them are reasonable. Both of them are very realistic. And both of them have to be properly disclosed to the investors in the operating agreement. And the reason you need a really good operating agreement is you cannot go back and call your investors and say, oh, by the way, I forgot to put a fee into the deal. Can we please add something because I overlooked it? It's very unlikely that investors are going to let you go backwards in time and come up with a new fee because you forgot to put something in there before. So just remember that. You have to be very thorough on the front end. Here's the second part. All the fees that we're talking about when you're acting as a vendor, are you being a direct vendor to the company where you're doing something that the fund needs? And if they don't hire you, they're going to hire somebody, so they might as well hire you. But there is a certain kind of a fee that I'm not really a big fan of, called an asset management fee. A lot of Wall Street guys take these kinds of fees, and the big pension funds that put money in their deals, they don't really like it very much. And that's why I don't encourage a lot of the syndicators and fund guys that do the real estate deals and a lot of our smaller transactions to stay away from these things. I advise that you stay away. But here's the way that this works, is a lot of these guys will do these things where they'll get 1 or 2% of assets under management. So let's say you have $10 million of assets and you get 1%. That would be $100,000 on January 1st, or if it's 2 points, $200,000 on January 1st. And that pays a lot of your overhead, which is really terrific. But that's a real burden on the investors. So unless you're making a lot of money in your deal, that's really a big amount of money to swallow, because it really offsets directly against what's going to be paid to the investors. And that fee, by the way, only exists because of you. It's not something that's going to be paid out no matter what. So if you get it, it doesn't matter if somebody else will. A brokerage commission is going to be paid to somebody. That doesn't matter. But the asset management fee is only going to be paid to you, and it's because of you. So that's real overhead that the syndicator's adding to the deal. I'm not in favor of that. I'm really in favor of you taking whatever fees are responsible, the deal's going to be responsible for, whether you're there or not. So if you're going to hire somebody, might as well hire you. That's the way I look at this. Those are the two big places where fees exist for the promoter. That's the best way for you to take your fees in a way that's reasonable. Just make sure that everything is properly disclosed, that you think through this very carefully. And that is the way you make this business work. It's a great business. Now go out and stake your claim.